So move with the time that you have. The world will keep spinning round. Don't wait for tomorrow. Live for today. Keep chasing the sunshine and go out and play. Listen, I wanna be there with you no matter where you go. Life is a table for two, and we're starting the show. Well, I'm gonna spread my wings and fly so high up above the clouds. You know that time doesn't wait for your dreams. We're living right here and now. Don't wait for tomorrow. Live for today. Keep chasing the sunshine.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. I have checked my mic this time. I have checked my phone. I have sound coming through the YouTube. Hopefully this is streaming correctly. If I'm streaming public, we're just gonna go with it. This should be a private live for all of my Card Making Stash Summit fans and VIPers. This is my last private live. I apologize if this is going public. I thought I'd figured it out, but if not, if it is public, here we are. So we have a fabulous project for you today to wrap up my little class here for the Card Making Stash Summit. And it's a really cool project. Again, I'm going with that theme of eating up those scraps, right? We had a great master board. We did some really cool ATC cards. Now this one here, you can use up scraps or you can use up some new stuff. I'm using up some new stuff because I bought some new stuff that went beautifully for this vintage kind of vibe for this project, but this is a great stash buster. So we're gonna go with some pouches today. We all get these, right? We all get these padded envelopes, and don't throw them away. Literally don't throw them away. We've got a great project that we can use up these for today. This one's going to be messy, I'm not gonna lie. So be ready, because it's gonna be messy. It's gonna get your fingers sticky. If you're like me, then you know you're crafting when you're getting messy, right? So we're just gonna go right into this because we've got a couple steps to this. I've got a couple sections of this pre-made just because of drying time. But this is a great one. If you've got several of these envelopes sitting around, do this in steps because you got to do some drying time in between, and then you can get quite a few done in one shot. These make a great gift, by the way. I made one to test. I gave it to a friend, so I had to make another one, so I had a sample for you today. She loved it. She absolutely loved it. So let's just go down. Let's get started. And if you have not done so already, I would love it if you could just follow me on YouTube and Instagram. I'm putting out all kinds of stuff. I've been kind of on a little hiatus here for about a month to 2 months. I've got a really big, huge work project actually coming due on Tuesday, so I should be back to normal scheduled programming here in about 2 weeks after my project is done and I've taught it and it's over and we're moving on. So I have been a little absent. I'm trying to do a couple things, but I'm working 24/7 on this project. But I'm here for your class. And I'm super excited for this little project. Let's go down to the down camera. Let's show you what I got going on, and we're gonna get started. All right. So here is, and I'm gonna just turn the earphone off because I can hear it streaming, just to make sure that I'm streaming correctly. Stand by. We're gonna pause on the sound. There we go. All right. I don't have it coming through my ear double time. Okay, here's the project, you guys. Look at this. This used to be this, right? So all this is a padded envelope. We have Mod Podged this with some old book pages and some cool vintage scrap paper that I've made. And we put a little hook on here. And then you can use this to put cards in, to store pictures, anything, coupon holder, whatever you want it for, right? It can be a little file holder. You know, put some of your little favorite crafts in here and go to Friends to Craft. Whatever you want this for, it'll work. I'm gonna just move my camera just a little bit. There we go. So here's what we're gonna do. And I've used a little bit of ephemera. I've done some embossing on this one. And let's show you what we do for this, okay? We set that aside. First thing you want to do is you want to cut this down to the size that you want. Whatever size. You can do a little halvesy if you want. Just leave enough of a flap so that when you fold this, you've got the size that you want, right? So I'm just gonna off the cuff, I don't really care what size this is gonna be. I use just a little finger razor to do this because you're gonna have to cut and then you're gonna have to make a slot. So let's just go right about like so. I'm gonna cut this just to cut this flap off, right? Easy peasy. That's it. Now I'm just gonna go down however big of a flap you want. I'm gonna make kind of a smaller one this time. I've been making some big ones. I'm telling you, when you do this, you're gonna make several because it's such a fun project. Now what you need to do is find your razor blade. That's what you need to do, Shawn. There we go. Little razor blade dropped off there. All right, now what you need to do, let me just screw that on, is just make a little slot. Don't go through both, and just make yourself a slot. That's it. Okay? So now I've got this. This is going to be my opening. This is going to be my flap. Okay? You're going to glue the inside of this piece now to hold it together. You can use hot glue. You can use your craft glue if you've got a good strong craft glue. I just have my glitter glue, so we're just gonna, it's fast drying, I like it. Hot glue works really well for this project. I don't have my hot glue gun with me here in this studio, so I'm just gonna get another one and just glue that down and then leave this flap open. Now you could glue this little flap here if you wanted to, but just not this side. So this is the side you're gonna stuff and store stuff in, right? Okay. Now, what you want to do, you don't have to, but if you come with a label, and I probably didn't take the label off of this one with my address. I did not, so we're not going to show that side to you all. But what you want to do is you want to gesso this. If you don't know what gesso is, I'm using white gesso. There's black gesso. You could use black gesso on this, clear gesso, white gesso. I'm using white. And what this does, it's kind of like think of it as a paint. Okay, so white gesso, it's gonna be white. You might need a couple layers to do it really cover. You don't need 100% coverage on this. What you're doing is you're prepping this surface to take on other stuff so it sticks to it really nice. So this gives it what we call tooth. So the tooth gives it, you're gonna feel, it kind of feels rough. It's not like a smooth paint. It's got a little tiny bit of rough feel. It's actually made for putting on canvas and different like your card fronts and things, so you can paint on them, you can watercolor, you can add stuff that sticks to it and doesn't soak in right into this kind of more porous kind of paper. All right, and all you need to do here is cover this. Okay, you can do this on both sides. And then let it dry. Gesso dries very quickly. So don't worry about I gotta do this, then I gotta let it dry for 24 hours. No, by the time you are done, this is gonna be dry. I mean, it dries very quickly. And if it's not 100% dry, and I'll show you, You can just take your little heat gun or your little drying tool and dry it, and it'll just dry right in front of your eyes. It's that quick. This is it. That's all I need to do with my gesso. Okay? On both sides. We set that aside. Now, still a little wet. If I just take my dry tool and dry this, it'll dry within a couple minutes, if that. You'll be able to literally see gesso dries really quick. I love gesso. I love gesso for mixed media stuff. I love gesso if I'm just gonna kind of play with some paints and play with some watercolors and get some tooth on there to stick to different surfaces. It's really fun for that. It depending on the tool. Now you can see mine's a little streaky. That's just because I'm using a little dollar store, actually it's from Michael's Crafts. They come in a huge pack for like $5. I can get like 10, 15 of those things. I use them till they're getting like, these are probably thrown out after this class because they're getting a little rough. I wash them and then reuse them a couple times and throw them. They're just little cheap things and they're good to, good for these kind of projects, to be honest. All right, so you're gonna get that good and dry. Now, once that's dry, by the miracle of television, you're gonna end up with something like this. Okay? Now, this one was a purple plastic one. So this one, you can probably see a little edge of it. It was just that purple plastic, not the paper kind. It still works. Gesso it, because when I put the gesso on, it kind of smears a little bit on that plastic, and it takes a little bit to stick. So you got to make sure this one's good and dry, because it'll smear a little bit weird on plastic. But if it dries, I got a nice grippy surface now to glue stuff on. I glued this end. Here's my razor cut piece, right, to put my stuff in. All right, here's the fun part. Now let me grab my stuff here. What I do, or what I have been doing, is I've been putting a layer of, I grabbed the wrong bottle of stuff here. Let me grab the other one. I've been putting a layer of just old book pages down to cover this whole thing up, right? You're gonna want some Mod Podge to do this. I'm using the Mod Podge matte. That's it. I have another project that I'm doing for another summit. I'm using the Mod Podge, what's it called? Dishwasher Safe. Can't tell you what that project is, but I do have another summit coming up, so watch for that. I've actually got, I think, 2 or 3 summits coming up here now, so watch my pages. I've got some really cool projects, especially this next one. It's going to be for July. So cool. I wish I could tell you what it is because it's so freaking cool. All right, I'm just using Mod Podge matte, okay? And we're going to put a fair amount. You're gonna go through some Mod Podge on these kind of projects, just so you know. But I love this medium. It's a really fun medium. It breaks down the paper, gets it nice and soft to kind of mold on things, and can't tell you why I know that, but it's really cool. So now I'm just taking these old pages, and I did my first one, and I'll just use this piece. Well, actually, I did my first one thinking I wanted this nice little terry up kind of look, and then I put it on and whatever. But by the time I put my other papers on there, it lost that terry effect because the terry effect was with the other papers. So what I did on my second one, the one that I just showed you, is I just took full pages, you guys. Just do it in full pages. Let me grab a better thing here. So take your Mod Podge. What you need to do is get this really good and coated. Now just know when this dries, they're kind of stiff. So just know that. This isn't going to be a nice soft padded envelope when you're done because of this Mod Podge and the paper. You're kind of, essentially what you're doing here is you're just paper macheing a padded envelope when you think about it. That's it. Okay? Now, I found, after doing these a couple times, what I do, and let me get this bottom edge better so I can do it. At the bottom, I take, so I can wrap these over, and I just line this up. I am going to cut and trim this down, not all the way because I'll open up the package, but I'll trim this piece down. Okay? lay this down. Make sure the paper's starting to get wet and soaking up that Mod Podge, because that's what's going to make it kind of moldable into this package. And I'm kind of pushing it into these creases and stuff a little bit, so it's adhering now to that Mod Podge and gesso. And I like that creased look, actually. I feel like it gives it a little something. It doesn't bother me that this is nice and straight and smooth. If you want a little bit more straight and smooth, get one without, use an envelope that you have with not as many creases, but it's going to be tough because these are soft packaging, right? Okay. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to leave enough overhang to wrap around to the other side when I get to that side. And I'm just kind of rubbing the paper, letting it soak up that Mod Podge. These old pages, because this is an old book, you can tell because of the yellowing and stuff, that I got at a thrift antique store kind of place. I don't even know what the book is. I probably should read these pages to make sure there's no swear words on them. I couldn't even tell you what the book was. It was just cheap. That's what it was. It was cheap. I think I got 4 books for like, I don't know, it was like $10 or something. All right. You saw me overlay, when I went to overlay onto this page, I had to put some Mod Podge on that. But what I'm going to try not to do is get too much Mod Podge on the rest of the pages. And I will tell you why. I did this the first time and I did it all over the pages, but by the time I came back to apply my ephemera and my other pages, it had already gotten that Mod Podge coating and it was kind of shiny, a little matte shiny. And then it was hard to do my embossing and stamping and different things on. So don't do too much gesso over the rest of this until you are ready to seal it. Okay? You have to get, now let's just do this little top piece and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So now I have to get some on these pages because I need to overlay a little bit to cover the rest of this plastic, right? Like so. So as I do this, now I can tear pieces and just overlay this enough and then just seal that edge down. Again, rub it, line that up to that edge so that I can still have my opening and not do any trimming. And I'm just rubbing it till I can feel, you can feel that paper get a little damp. And then you're good to go. Okay? I'm going to do the same thing right here. I just need to put a little, kind of a glue, if you will, over top of that little piece as I overlay this onto the other page. But not getting a lot of, you can see I got a little bit there. That's okay. I mean, don't worry about not having none, right? Okay, you're going to continue this until you get all of this covered. Now, what you do with this overhang, when this is done and dry, and I'll do this piece because I have another piece prepped for you for class here today. So then you're going to take and fold this over because it covers that little bottom fold of the envelope. Just like so. Now my paper is really delicate. It's really old and antique. I mean, it's old. It's brittle. Just lack of a better word, it's pretty brittle. So it works great for projects like these. But if you're going to do this, make sure that you got a thin enough paper that wraps and folds nice versus a really thick cardstock or something, 100-pound cardstock or something that might not fold over as well. And especially if you're using scraps and stuff, use like a nice 12 by 12, thinner sheet of paper to do that. That's it. I would finish the rest of the back side of this. Keep on gluing until I have this covered, right? Like so. Now, and then let me just move this aside. Clean this up first, and then I'll show you what this should look like, okay? Gesso will wipe up pretty easy. And I'm gonna tell you, by the time you're done with a whole piece, you're gonna have a mess. Just know that, especially with all the Mod Podge. So it is glue, so you gotta pull it up a little bit. I use a little razor blade. I have a glass board. I will put in the description of my video for you all. I do have a discount for you, an affiliate link. I think it's 15. I saw it just went up to 20, and I'm not sure how long it's staying at 20. But I love this thing. Holy man, do I love this thing. It is a great. It's hefty. It just be forewarned. It's hefty. This is, I think, 18 by 24, and it's a little heavy. Not gonna lie, it's a little heavy. Get this wiped up good. All right, we'll just set my Mod Podge aside. Now, once you're done with all that paper, you're gonna end up with something like this. Honestly, you could leave it like this and stamp on this, emboss this, and the old newspapers, old magazines, scrap paper that we have, cardstock that we have, pattern paper that we have, anything will work for this. Literally anything. You could do, and we're gonna do some here now over top of this. I put this as my base layer now, remember, okay? This is just my base layer. That's it. Now, I went and bought, let me pull everything over for you. I gotta be careful what I pull over. I have a couple pieces back here from a project that I'm working on for my next summit that I can't show you. So I just almost pulled those little fussy cut pieces out. Okay, look at this. Look at this. Are these cool or what? I love these papers. I bought these on the Amazon, okay? Not gonna lie. But they're perfect for this. These pieces here came in a huge, thick stack that I bought for like $20, I think. Just a couple hundred pages in there. They're thin. They're very thin. They're called scrapbooking pages. I got a couple different packs. So I got this very vintage, all kinds of writing and advertising one. Then I bought a couple packs of like ones like these that have some plants and some bees and different things on them that you can fussy cut out and use. And then some ephemera. I just pulled out my, and then I bought this. This one came out of this vintage ephemera book, again, on Amazon. Okay, cool book, really cool book. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just start applying these to cover up my paper. I don't need to cover up my paper 100%. What I realized, third time in of doing this, I don't need to cover the paper 100%. The paper actually works with this stuff, right? So here's what you're gonna do. Get out your Mod Podge again. I always say Mod, I don't know why I do that. It just comes off that way. All right, I've got scraps and stuff here too. So now I'm just gonna start applying. So now, I'm only going to apply to this one side. On the back side, so you're buttering this. And then I'm gonna start applying, and I'm gonna keep that top side dry right now for the same reason. So now this one I did a little bit of coat over it, just because I had to like peel or get some of these torn pieces down a little bit better. So now I'm just going to butter up these pieces. Okay. Just like so. I'm just gonna grab my scrap pieces for right now that I've got in here. Ooh, this is a great one. I cut some of the things off of this, so now I can just tear this one up. Actually, we'll leave that edge. Tear this edge because I can throw that right there. You might want to lay. I just use my glass board because it cleans up way easy after I spray it with a little cleaner or alcohol and scrape it. But if you want to lay down, a little scrap piece of paper or something so that you have a buttering surface to keep your messy control down just a little bit, by all means do so. Now you're just going to lay this out however you want, with whatever papers you decide, right? And I'm leaving some gap in here with the paper that I laid down, because I'm going to use that to my advantage, just to not have to fill this whole thing, because it works with this. I'm going to use the other part of this. Kind of right over here. All right. And all you're doing, again, like I said before, all we're doing is like kind of just paper macheing this padded envelope. That's it. It's like, because it gets stiff. I said this, right? This Mod Podge does dry a little stiff, so just know that. You're not going to have this soft padded kind of surface. Okay. I'm going to throw this piece right over here. Now what I'm going to throw in here, I want to just show you cardstock before I get too far, because I'm going to kind of soften the edges of this out. I had from another project these cityscape pieces, and I thought they would go well with this vintage kind of theme anyway. Get them out here. So I had some of these cityscape pieces, and I think they go well with what I'm about to do. So, and this is a stiffer pattern paper cardstock. So when I was saying before, you need some of these soft ones to wrap around these edges and things down here. The stiffer cardstock, this would probably do it, but some I know might not. So I'm gonna just add these into, so like I've got some city buildings and stuff that was to go, no, that way. Popping through here, plus I got a little extra pops of color. So if you think about it, what am I doing here? I mean, think about that first class that we did. I'm making another master board, but I'm putting this on a padded envelope. Aren't I? I mean, to be honest, I'm just making another master board with scraps, but it's on a padded envelope that we're going to use as a little pocket. Okay. Oh, I see a couple of you popping in. Welcome. I think I got this set up correctly, so hopefully you guys are from Cardmaking Summit. I don't believe I'm live and public like I was before, and so otherwise I would probably have a few more people in here if I was probably on public. But welcome. Hopefully you get a little something out of this as the last little using up your stash. So welcome. Happy Saturday. Good morning. Get your coffee out. We're using up some scraps here today, you guys. So again, it's just another option to use up scraps, and another option to get in some of your stuff that you might have from, I'm going to go up here, from your products that you don't use. Mod Podge, some old scrapbook paper. Get out stuff that you're like, I don't maybe like it anymore, or I've used it so much, or who knows what, right? So this is just to use up some of that product. I'm using Mod Podge, so those of you just joining, I'm using Mod Podge to lay this stuff down. I have used a padded envelope that I have gessoed. So I did my first gesso just kind of to show. So I gessoed it. Then I applied old book pages, right? I didn't finish this one because I had one pre-finished, but I showed you how to apply this at the beginning of the video. And now we're just collaging and scrapbooking some papers down. Ooh, I like this one. I'm going to tear this one and get some edges. Now, I could do ink blending on these edges. You could do all kinds of crazy stuff. Again, just have fun with this little project. Ink blend, and I will show the project here again. Here's my final for a couple of you that joined in. This is what we're making. We're making a little padded envelope that's like a little kind of mini, whoops, I just tore that off, little mini purse. I'm going to take that out because I didn't glue it down so I could use it for this one. So I could cheat today. All right. Oh, I love. So I'd pre-cut some of these out. I'd pre-cut these out of that book that I showed you. And I can zoom in just a little bit. All right. Then these are these scrapbook papers that I'm just tearing up and throwing on here. And then some of these other scrapbook ones I got with some more cool designs and stuff on them. So I'm going to throw a little bit more down before I start collaging my ladies and my ephemera and things. And then we'll do some other side and then stamp and get this going. I like to throw a little bit of different color. Ooh, I like this one. So I'm going to go, I want something kind of going kind of right in here. So I'm just going to tear out this one. And remember, if you tear towards you, you're going to get an edge like this. If you tear away from you, you're going to get an edge like this. So just depending on the edge that you want. And with Mod Podge, lack of a better word, Mod Podge will kind of soak into your paper and soften it so it molds. I call it, I feel like it, I know it probably doesn't, but I feel like it breaks down the fibers of the paper to make it moldable as it wets it and soaks into it. So that's how you can mold into things like this. Go right down here. There we go. I'm keeping the one side dry until I'm ready to seal this, because then I still need to stamp and do some things on this, right? Okay. I think my ladies will start covering things up. So, I like this lady because I like the color. But I think what I want to do with her, I don't want all of this, I think. So what I think I'm going to do with her is I'm just going to fussy cut her up. And add her just as a image. And what I like doing about some of these pictures like this is it feels like it's kind of, it almost gives it this like dimensional look when you put it down. So it makes it almost look like it's popping off the page a little bit or coming towards you. I've got this other project that I'm working on where I did some images like these, and I like how it looks, because if you look at that, it looks like she's kind of coming up towards you, right? I am definitely going to use this and make several more, because like I said, I gave one sample that I tried to my friend Sandy, and she loved it so much she started showing everybody and all of her friends, and like, I want one. So these are just a fun little recycled kind of gift, right? Before that dries, I want to throw, I always do this, I should collage a little bit before I throw this down. So I have this prearranged, but my brain doesn't function in that way. I just got to start throwing it down. There we go. So now I kind of got a trio going there, okay? Now I want to take this lady. I'm going to throw this lady up here. Now I'm going to do this the right way. I think we're going to throw a little butterfly on her. I grabbed this to show you. So I had bought a pack of these. They're stickers, and some of them are rub-ons, but they're a little plasticky. If you put this on here, just remember, if you're going to heat boss and put some heat, it'll melt these. So be careful. I did that mistake on my first one, and yeah, I kind of melted some plastic. So there you have it. All right, let's just take these. I like these butterflies on this one. I'm just going to leave the border of these to make these easy to fussy cut. You can see I already used one butterfly out of this little piece. If you haven't bought papers like this before, they're kind of fun, because you can lay them down as whole pieces. You can fussy cut pieces of them out to use. They're kind of fun. Right, old book right kind of through there, and then we'll lay her down. So I try to collage some of this stuff in little trios. Throw that down there, so there's a little connection at least to it, right? There we go. One over, one under. How's that sound? And just know, gesso dries quickly. Your Mod Podge, it takes a little couple, at least 24 hours to have a good dry on it. I'm really digging how this one's coming out. I mean, just zoom back out a little bit now so you can kind of see big picture here. Really digging how this one's coming out. I'm gonna save, I think I've saved some of these cityscapes for the other side. Okay. Let's just put a little tag, I think right up over in here. Then I'm gonna throw another, I'm gonna cut this one out because that one seems to fit the size in there. Beautiful. Then let's just do another little flower. And I'm going to take that big one actually and just tear around that like so. And then I feel like that's probably collaged enough because then I'm going to add a little stamping in there with some embossing. Gotta do the flap yet. That one's really thick, that piece, so I'm just gonna make sure I got good adhesion to that one. Like so. All right, I'm really digging this side, how this looks. I want to throw one, I think a little trio of this, so we're gonna just take a little, one of these, fussy cut one of these out. So I have something up in that corner. Then let's do a little embossing and stamping to kind of show you. I'm just going to throw that right up in this little corner. Just like so. Okay? I love this. I'm going to just leave this so that I can kind of show you down here, and then we'll show you final product again. But this is how you do it, and then we'll show you the ribbon and things of what I did. So I'm going to just tuck this stuff aside. Let me just clean off my surface here again. And just for ease and quickness, I'm using alcohol right now just to kind of get that cleaned off nice, especially on camera. Scraping it off my glass board. I usually use like a good cleaner, industrial cleaner, when I'm really cleaning this off to get all my glues and things off. But it cleans off the glass board so nice. All right, let's just move this. We're done with my Mod Podge. So I would basically continue this piece, and then I would continue this whole thing on the back side in this manner. Guys, I'm digging this one. Like, I might actually keep this one for myself because I'm loving this lady and the dimension of that one, but I'm digging this one. Okay, so here's what we do. And I'm not sure if oh, here we go, making sure we're still live. Okay, so now I'm gonna grab I saved a couple stamps to show you, and let's just do, I did some pinks and reds, but I think I just want black on this one. I'm going to use StazOn, a good solvent ink, good, strong, drying, resistant kind of ink. Then, and I use blocks. It's going to be very hard to use your Misty to do this. You are not, just know you are not going for perfection on a perfect stamp on something like this because of the surface. So remember, this is more mixed media-ish for sure, right? You're not going to get a perfect, beautiful stamp. And sometimes you don't even need to worry about inking it up so good. right? So just get some ink on there. And I'm going to just stand up for this for a minute so I can get my weight into this a little bit. And then just stamp down like so. What I like about adding some stamped images and some embossing is I feel like it ties this stuff together just a little bit more. Because if you look at it, it feels a little plainish. Like, what's it missing until you add some stamps in there? And then I feel like that just tied it off, right? Welcome. I see a couple people popped in, so welcome you all. Happy Saturday morning. Let's just take some scripty stuff. Probably have enough scripty stuff if you look at my papers, but you know, there you have it, right? Okay. But you've got to get some weight into this because of the paper, and that Mod Podge starts to harden. Now, because StazOn is a solvent ink, doesn't dry real fast, I'm going to use this as my embossing. You could use embossing ink. I have, and I did on that last example I showed you. But I'm going to use this as my embossing ink. These are Tim Holtz from the Stampendous collection. So I'm just going to go right here on that one. And then I'm going to throw some embossing powder on this. And now here's the deal. This is why I said don't Mod Podge over the top, because it stays wet. And wherever I put this embossing powder, it's going to stick. If I have wet pieces from my glue and it's not completely dry, I'm okay with that for this kind of look. So, and I got my head in there, so I apologize. So I've stamped out a couple pieces, right? Now I can take, while this is still damp, again, if you want to keep these black, let it dry before you do it. I have all of these that I rarely use. And these are the Distress embossing powders, glazes. They're like a glaze. I have an orange, I have a green, I have this pumice, I have a yellow, I have another green. And so I thought it'd be fun because I don't hardly use these. I just haven't used them for no particular reason because I use gold so much. But I thought this is a project because I'm using other stuff. I'm getting these out and I'm going to try these. So let's just look at, and I know they're kind of some glazy where they're not totally opaque. They get a little translucent. But this green does not match. I don't want orange in there. Yellow's too bright. I think I'm going to go with a little, so it's not so muted. I'm going to just try, I think this is this sage? Yeah, I'm going to try this sage and just see what I get from it. Now, I'm just going to dump this on. I want it to stick to the inked pieces for sure. So we'll start with those inked pieces. Your StazOn doesn't dry real fast, so you should get it to stick. And then think about other stuff that you could add to this, right? If you want this really dimensional, and that StazOn kind of dried on me. So let's just take, I'm going to just redo. Sometimes it stays wet a little bit longer, but I think my pad's getting a little dry. So I'm going to get up my embossing powder, my Versamark. And I'm going to grab, I think I had Yeah, I did. I kept it out. I have this Gina K one that I used on my last one. And so this is the Gina K Santa Ana Rose Mini. And let's just try this in sage. We'll grab a bigger block. Again, think about this. I don't use blocks. Very rarely do I use blocks. So now I'm using more tools in my toolbox that I don't use very much, right? So let's just ink this up. Again, this is one of those, I don't need a perfect image. But to get it on there, because of this surface, give it some muscle. And it's a one and done. So just make sure you got it inked up good enough because it's a one and done. You're not using a Misty, and it's not a surface that you can get really good impression from, right? Same thing over here. Good morning, Jamie Collins. How are you? Happy Saturday morning. Thanks for popping in. We are doing the last little class here for the Card Making Stash Summit. Again, I'm going with the scrap theme. We're using padded envelopes, and essentially, when you think about it, we're just making another masterboard, but we're doing it on padded envelopes to make a little collage and a little pouch that we can use. Well, hello, Cordelia. Thanks for popping in. If you're using things like these little glazes from Tim Holtz, just know they're much different than your normal embossing powder as far as the overall look that you get from them. But again, I'm using stuff that I just haven't used much in my stash and making some really cool projects out of it. I feel like sometimes when you do projects like this, and I'm using stuff that I have to go into a project like this with an open mind of the results, because it's not we get into our little groove of what we like and what we do and what's our norm. And so sometimes that norm does not feel normal when we do projects like this. So for example, this is more glazy, so you can just have a little silhouette of that rose, versus if I use gold on that, it would pop, right? Because I use gold all the time. But here, I'm just getting that little glaze of it, right? So, and let me just show you the difference. I'm going to pop one right down here. We'll just do one in gold. I think I still have sound. Hopefully you guys are all hearing me. Yep, I'm just checking the internet to make sure we had sound. All right, let me do one more right here in the corner. All right, just making sure I had it good and inked up. Get that to tack on with that Versamark. Better close that. I know myself, I'll knock that all over. Okay. And now check out the difference when you use gold. I had my gold and black back here because I didn't know if I'd want to go last resort and just do what I know works. All right. You can already see it really good, right? But you add gold to these, oh my gosh. Talk about vintage vibe. I love this look so dang much. You have no idea. Check that out. On a pouch like this, Right? Right? So cool. Okay. Let me show you how to wrap this up, okay? And finish this off. And then we'll go back to that finished product. Just because I'm not gonna finish the whole thing because of drying, and then I have to punch and do all this stuff. So, get yourself, you can use anything. What I have found though is using a stretchy rope works the best. I got a roll of this at Michael's for I don't know, 10, I don't remember what the price was. You're gonna want something stretchy, okay? After I've done this side, after I've done my flap, I've done this whole side, I've collaged it, then you're gonna get yourself, and you can leave it like that. You can trim this down. So what I do, because I don't need all of this fabric, or all this extra on here, excuse me, once I am done collaging, I trim this down, but I don't go all the way off because you're gonna cut into the envelope and have a slit open. So I just don't want that slit to open. So just trim some of this off. Then get yourself some wide ribbon. Okay? Find some wide ribbon that you like and cut it to size and hot glue it half on this side, and then you're going to roll it and do it over and glue it here to trim this out. Okay, get something that matches. Get if you got I'm not a big ribbon hoarder, so. Oh, Cordelia, your part. I think your cat just wants to be in on everything. That's the problem. So then, this just trims it out. Okay, I like burlap on stuff like this. I actually got this beautiful floral with kind of like ripped edges that I thought looks great on this. I did this on the sample, and I'll bring that sample back here in a second. Okay, I used my glitter glue on this because, again, I don't have hot glue. Hot glue is going to work best. I'm just going to tell you right now, hot glue is going to work the best to trim this out. And then just seal this. And remember, we sealed this side after I cut it to size. I would seal this side. If I had hot glue, I probably would have hot glued this side, and then this is going to fold over. So now what I did is I just took, to make it easy, I did not want to complicate this, especially for myself. I had a whole pack of these plastic wheels, gears kind of things. So I'm using 2. So I took a piece of that stretchy rope. Okay, it took me a couple tries to figure out where to tie it and stretch, how much I needed for stretch over. Then what you're going to do is I took a hole punch. Now you can have, if you have a brad kit like this, with very small, this one punches very small, right? I'm just using a regular normal hole punch, okay? You gotta kind of figure out, your button's gonna go here, so you don't want to stretch too much, so you've gotta go way in as far as you can. And then I threaded this through one of my gears. Now, a button. Buttons would work fantastic. You're probably just going to need a button on the inside like this gear to keep it from popping through, and glue it. I'm not going to glue this because I need to finish this one, but I would probably glue this on on this piece here, and then that's going to thread through like so. Cut the rest of that off, and this is your loop. Okay. Then I'm going to punch another hole up here and run this through so that I can, and it pop, let me grab my other one here. What I did is I took and I threw it to the side here because it came out. I'll just grab another one. You could do this however you, if you want to sew it, sew through this, sew through this. If you want to use kind of a thread, like, you know what else would work really well to sew with is throwing some like baker's twine on there. Would work really, really well to thread this. I took a brad and I didn't glue it down yet because it wasn't done. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my other wheel, okay? My brad, the head of the brad does not go all the way through, so I'm going to glue that down onto there. Then I'm going to stick the brad through like that, and then I'm going to glue this down like so. Because otherwise it's not strong enough, it'll pop through because these are pretty strong. But let me do this on the other one now. So then I'm going to pop this through here, glue that down, then this comes around and wraps over that, and that's my latch. Okay? So, to finish this off, because we're at my hour, yeah, Cordelia, and the closures, honestly, I bought buttons and then I didn't have stuff to sew it with. But if you have a big needle that you can sew with and get like gold twine would work really, really well to sew down the buttons. You're gonna need some strength though, just know this, because this is stiff. And you can kind of see it's brittle. My paper's brittle, that's ripping it open, but that's okay because I covered that anyway. But yeah, you're gonna need something kind of stiff because this gets stiff and strong to hold that down. I like this size actually, but the one I cut, let me grab it. What did I do with it? This one that we started with at the beginning, right? I just sewed this one. Like when I fold this, look at the size of this. It's like a little handbook, right? So make any, like you can just grab it really easy. Make any size of these that you want, okay? All right, let's go back to what's left. I'm gonna finish collaging. Let that dry. Then you're gonna take and then stamp and emboss, mixed media. Here, let's just show you, because I got them out to show you, and I'll throw a piece on there. And then I'll just let this piece dry so that I can finish the other side, because this one's turning out really well. Take some stencils, okay? Take some of your mixed media stuff. If you want texture paste, if you want, let me grab I think what would look really nice is just a little bit of, I'm gonna grab just a little bit of purple. So I'm gonna use the Bruce Monroe Chroma Glaze. You could use, I've done on a couple, that first one I gave away to my friend Sandy, I did the Lunar Paste Gold Rush Gold, which turned out beautiful. Okay, I'll just throw this stencil down. Just get a little color, a little splash of purple in there. Again, surface of this gets a little rough, right? So now I'm just gonna hold that down and do a nice little thin layer. Through that stencil. Oh my gosh. I mean, think of the products that you're not using enough, that we've spent good money on this stuff, right? And so get some of that product out and start collaging, start playing. Get out that ephemera. We buy ephemera and then it sits there. I mean, unless you are a major ephemera, that's all you put on your cards. We buy it for a couple projects and then it just sits there, right? So use it. This is a good project to use it. So I'm gonna let this side dry. I'm gonna finish doing this side and then I'm gonna finish doing this side. Once it's dry, I'm gonna take that Mod Podge again and then I'm gonna just seal this down. This is a sealant as well. I'm just gonna put a really nice light layer through there and seal it. Then I would take, after that dries, and I would edge my edges with ribbon and apply my buttons, and then you have this project. which is this. My button's off of it because I was showing you on the other one. So this would be your finished project, right? I didn't collage as much on this one, but I embossed way more on this one. So you can see I used like a nice shimmery glitter green on here. I used a pink, some hot pink that I had left just to throw that out. I was kind of trying to use up that hot pink because I had a little bit left of embossing powder. Then I had some ephemera left. This was a pack that had just a little bit left of. So I was trying to use that up. And I fussy cut out these flowers. All of these were fussy cut like I did that lady, right? Fussy cut. Where's my fussy cut ones on here? Oh, up here in the corner. I fussy cut that one out. And then I used that ribbon that has the frayed edges on it. So that is your finished project. Hopefully you guys are going to get something out of this. I hope, honestly, you make these in bulk and start. I know we got these. I know we all get these in the mail. Make these in bulk. Gesso all of them, let them dry. Then first layer down, let them dry. Then collage, let them dry. Come back and stamp emboss, let them dry. You could knock out so many of these and empty out your scrap bucket real quick. And I will tell you, I've made one as a sample to try, and I gave it to my friend Sandy, and she went gaga over this. Like literally started showing friends, and they were like, "I want one. It's so cool." And look at now, you got a pouch to put stuff in to carry in. These are great gifts. It's stiff though. Once you're done, it's gonna be stiff. So just know that it's not like a purse. So it's great for putting cards in. You know, make a stack of cards. Throw them in here, and you got yourself a little pouch to give some cards away. So there you have it. Thank you all so much. I cannot thank you guys enough for the Card Making Stash Summit and watching my masterclass at the summit. I had such a blast doing that class, and the responses were just incredible. I'm going to go back up to face cam here. The responses were just incredible. And so I really, truly can't thank you enough. Can't thank Justine Hovey and Laurel Beard for having me on the summit. I've got 3 more summits coming up, and so I'm super excited. Watch my channel and watch my Instagram. I'm going to be making announcements coming up soon for the next one coming up in July, I believe. But I've got 3 summits with completely different projects. Still some scrap ideas, though, and some Mod Podge ideas because I'm having fun with it. So look for that. But you guys, thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend. If you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button on YouTube. And you can find me at Manly Made Minute on Instagram, and would love to have you all over there as well. Thank you so much. Fingers crossed I'll be with you next year for the Card Making Stash Summit. And have a wonderful rest of your day.